George and Martha. It's a story about two hippopotamuses. 5 stories about 2 great friends. Story number 1, split pea soup. I don't know if you've ever had split pea soup. It's kind of weird looking. It's green and kind of a little gooey. My mom used to make it with ham. I love the stuff. Martha was very fond of making split pea soup. Sometimes she made it all day long, pots and pots of split pea soup. Yum. If there was one thing that George was not fond of, it was split pea soup. As a matter of fact, George hated split pea soup more than anything else in the world, but it was so hard to tell Martha. Did that ever happen to you? You want to tell your friend, but you just don't want to hurt their feelings? Yeah. But one day, after George had eaten 10 bowls of Martha's soup, he said to himself, "Oh, I just can't eat another bowl, not even another spoonful." So, while Martha was out in the kitchen, George carefully poured the rest of his soup into his loafers under the table. Now she will think I have eaten it. But Martha was watching from the kitchen. If you don't know what loafers are, those are slipper shoes, shoes that slip on like mine. How do you expect to walk home with your loafers full of split pea soup? She asked George. Oh dear, said George, you saw me. And why didn't you tell me that you hate my split pea soup? I didn't want to hurt your feelings, said George. That's silly, said Martha. Friends should always tell each other the truth. As a matter of fact, I don't like split pea soup very much myself. I only like to make it. From now on, you'll never have to eat that awful soup again. Whew, what a relief, George sighed. Would would you like some chocolate chip cookies instead? Asked Martha. Oh, that would be lovely, said George. Then you shall have them, said his friend. Story number 2, the flying machine. If you don't know already, this kind of flying machine is called a hot air balloon. It rises up in the sky because they say, and it's true, hot air rises. That means it goes up. So if you fill up the balloon with hot air, it will rise up. Yep, it's true. Usually. I'm going to be the first in my species to fly, said George. Then, why aren't you flying? Asked Martha. It seems to me that you are still on the ground. You are right, said George. I don't seem to be going anywhere at all. Maybe the basket is too heavy. Yes, said George. I think you're right again. Maybe if I climb out, the basket will be lighter. Oh, that's no doubt about that, huh? Oh dear, cried George. Now what have I done? There goes my flying machine. That's all right, said Martha. I would rather have you down here with me. This is a very important story. I don't know if you got a brother or a sister or maybe a mom and they're in the bathroom and you need to go, or you just want to ask them if you can have some Cheerios or something and you bug them. Let them have their privacy. Leave them alone. Story number 3. George was fond of peeking in windows. Well, look, there he is, peeking in the window. One day, George peeked in on Martha. There's Martha, and oh, there's George. Think she'll like that? He never did that again. We are friends, said Martha, but there is such a thing as privacy. Told you. Story number 4, the mirror. "How I love to look at myself in the mirror," said Martha. Every chance she got, Martha looked at herself in the mirror. Sometimes Martha even woke up during the night to look at herself in the mirror. "This is fun," she giggled. But George was getting tired of watching Martha look at herself in the mirror. One day, George pasted a silly picture he had drawn of Martha into the mirror. What a scare it gave Martha. "Oh dear," she cried. "What has happened to me?" "That's what happens when you look at yourself too much in the mirror," said George. "Then I won't do it ever again," said Martha. And she didn't. The last story. It's not really the last story. It's a really long book. But there's 7 whole books, and each of them have 5 stories. This is story number 5 of the first book. The Tooth. One day when George was skating to Martha's house, he tripped and fell and broke off his right front tooth. His favorite tooth, too. When he got to Martha's, George cried his eyes out. "Oh, dear me," he cried. "I look so funny without my favorite tooth." There, said Martha. The next day, George went to the dentist. The dentist replaced George's missing tooth with a lovely golden tooth. When Martha saw George's lovely new golden tooth, she was very happy. "George," she exclaimed, "you look so handsome and distinguished with your new tooth." And George was happy too. "That's what friends are for," he said. They always look on the bright side, and they always know how to cheer you up." "But they also tell you the truth," said Martha with a smile. I think that this book pretty silly about 2 hippopotamuses, but it does tell us some really important stuff, like always tell the truth. It's not always comfortable. It's not always easy. Sometimes you might even get in trouble. But it's still better to tell the truth than to tell a lie. Because when you tell a lie, then people, they think you're going to tell a lie all the time. They won't trust you. So important. Always tell the truth.